we go. It's going to be the Twitch ban from TSM, trying to limit the overall impact of the frag department from XSET early on, as well as slowing down a little bit of the drone game. Twitch does indeed get 3 drones, and she has a prep phase drone and her 2 shock drones that we're also very used to. Thatcher's going to get removed, unlike Maverick being removed inside of the last map, so this is going to be a more straightforward affair for the offense. It's going to make a little bit more sense, as a lot of teams just not used to having Thatcher in the mix. So Maya's going to be removed next, and this is going to help them out in a lot of different ways, not only in the mitigation area, but also the fact that they could potentially bring Capitao and his counter no longer exists. Azami's going to round that off, and that's to be expected, but a big thing here is that that's going to leave open Mira on a map that she is pretty solid, especially around the AVG space.
I believe we did see her left in play on the last map as well, and pretty limited use despite that. So this might become kind of a Thatcher situation where she's been banned out for so long that teams aren't even really thinking about potentially bringing her in. But I do agree with you, though. There is that very strong possibility we'll see her potentially thrown into this once or twice if teams are prepared for it. Let's see, though, if TSM is going to be one of those not choosing to bring it in for this first round, just bringing a more kind of free-flowing, is what I would describe this as, layout for their defenders here. So they're going to be going into AVG with a heck of a lot of movement capability among the spread of operators.
Yes, indeed. Especially love the addition of the Legion here for Merc. This is going to give them so much info and just denial to play off of. You know, XSET tries to go for an aggressive front. They step on a goo mine, and all of a sudden you have a pretty solid fight for a defender as long as they know where that goo mine was placed. So we'll see if XSET can work their way around that. Shouldn't be too difficult, as they should know at least that there are goo mines around the area. They have a very distinct noise when they get set down. So XSET should be aware of that at a minimum. For TSM, they've extended themselves towards the northern area. They're going to be holding on to statuary as well as games for some time, have some reinforcements over here to be able to help with some of the angles in from Master, as they'll try and slowly wean themselves off of this full map control. Give it over to XSET, all whilst trading it out for that time bank.
Pretty quiet inside of the first 30 seconds, as some of you at home might have generally expected here. XSET still need to commit to the clear, as Stokes was mentioning before. TSM is actually not going to give over a huge amount of real estate for free. Specifically at the bottom of main stairs there, you're going to notice the position from Achieved still hiding on the inside of the Art Vault. And then a little bit more across over at the top of the stairs. You have your usual hold currently being played by Bolo inside of the midpoint on those stairs here. Diaz and Kino are working on getting the study control to begin the first part of the pinch against Bolo's position. Naga as well with an aid going up top, and it sings. Beautiful damage up against Chala. Brings him down to just a sliver of HP. It's a near miracle he didn't get outright killed by it.
And pretty problematic for Chala at the current moment, but fortunately enough, he can play back inside of sight. He's got some smokes to deal with, and there is no chance in hell that just happened. Gomez, he's probably playing 4-3-2.
How like 600 IQ would it be if he did see him, but he just didn't react? That would be the next thought in my mind, but we'll worry about that in a moment here, as once again, a few players coming close to winning angles to pick up kills. Spirit specifically ready to execute in against the setup from Bolo. Achieve will be able to strike true, and now Achieve to move out. He's already got 2. Let's make it 3, as indeed we can confirm it now. Gomez definitely didn't see him with the impact being made there.
Well, XSET apparently allergic to drones, as they don't clear downstairs at all and just really don't check their corners. That's the biggest piece there. Yeah, they have the Yana clone come in, but it's just a quick check and nothing else in between. Achieved just simply getting away with way too much in his positioning. That's a place that you really want to check out and make sure there's no one trying to sneak past you, and it's an oversight from XSET. It's as simple as that, and a beautiful triple kill here from Achieved. He's not only able to take down Gomez and Yaga, but also Spirits. Last 2 obviously going over to Merc, as they make mincemeat out of XSET early on here, and they're going to have to force XSET to slow down. They have to take their time and make sure that they don't misfire in the same way.
So TSM, definitely a very one-sided start to things. Let's see if XSET can get a quick reset going, though, as obviously Achieve getting away with what he did. Put a bit of a sour position onto XSET's play there, and didn't really give them much of a hope of being able to bring it back. Kino certainly doing his best, but only to be able to control 1 kill for this squad here. That's all they will get out of that round. TSM obviously will be shifting sights over towards the secondary upstairs site for themselves. A bit more of a site-focused setup this time, too. We can see Bolo still...
Well, you say that.
Well, yeah, I say that, but they're kind of drifting offside at the moment. But still, greater capability for those players to fall back and actually kind of outlast things if we get to that point, at least than what we had in the last round.
Yeah, TSM are going for relatively the same kind of setup, extend things out to the other side, try and play around some of these far-reaching bastions and see if XSET can try and force your hand. But as you can also see, TSM, try and see if they can try and find an opening here where TSM aren't exactly looking. This is going to be able to assist them in at least trying to find some pacing. But the beauty of the setup from TSM is that as long as they have some early info, some early insight, can definitely make some adjustments across the board to be able to try and mitigate the blow that XSET is about to send their way. This was pretty interesting when we saw this getting set up initially. They have this deployable shield inside of Master. This is not exactly a place that you see occupied for an extended period of time just because of how the closet can play into this. But with this deployable shield set up practically perfectly, Achieve just has to worry about that little angle every single time he crosses, and it seems like he's actually gotten tagged up from such the spot. As we'll be able to tag Yagit here in the elbow. I don't know how much he's going to want to tango back and forth with this stuff. Oh, what a shot from Geo. Downrange all the way from Study. That's the beauty of that EBR at range. You're able to deal some very considerable damage to the offense.
Achieved still looking for targets from the inside of the master windows, also including the walk-in where he's now going to position himself. Kino raiding into this in some part, tries to fire back against it, but no shots connecting. Achieve will continue to maintain the pressure. Oh, and stem back a potential run-in from Diaz. Instead, it's going to be a run-out from Achieve, though. A second one even being flirted with here, but it's all just to hand over more kills to the XSET side of things. Spirits negotiates a second one for the squad, and suddenly they're in charge of the situation as it's brought to a 4v3.
And suddenly gotten extremely awkward for TSM as they practically give 2 kills over to XSET. But fortunately enough, they still have a lot of map control to work with as they've kept XSET out of Masters. Still 3 on the balcony and trying to use their Gemini clone to get extra info on the bathroom area. Also, the panels here for the triple wall, they're completely muted off, so those Selmas aren't going to work out either. TSM, they might be down on gunpowder, but they're definitely up in map control as well as brain. But unfortunately enough, Kino, he's going to get tagged up for TSM's sake, but Merc will finally be able to finish him off. Diaz has been down. Spirits is on cooldown as he's already used one of his adrenal surges, so he won't be able to respond as quickly as he wants to. Chala aware that there's more than likely someone hopping inside of the bathroom, and he's extremely correct. They try and challenge him out here for Astronomy as he'll back off, but XSET have to make a move with this timer dwindling.
Indeed, the pickup still made for Merc, and thankfully as well. We do still have Finka in play, so Diaz's HP can be brought a little bit further into the positive. Gomez with a strong opening entry as well to knock out Merc, but the fire back from the other side is apparently not going to be enough. XSET trades out. The trades themselves coming in from the defense and is able to close down on their first attacking round.
Yeah, TSM going a little too hard when it came to the mid-game there, throwing themselves to the wolves outside on the balcony, especially for Bolo. He goes for the really long swing, and, you know, back in the day, that would have worked with a 3-second timer, but with a 1-second timer, you're more than likely not even going to get to the point where you can challenge him before he has info on you, and secondly, you're now a threat, or rather, you're now being threatened from all of the offensive unit, and you have no idea where any of them are, except for maybe one guy on the balcony, and that's exactly what happens to Bolo. He tries to make his way back to the window, and he dies from somebody across the way on top of the roof. You really can't do anything about that situation when all of the default cams outside should be destroyed. This is a professional team, so just very, very hard decisions being made there for TSM. So see if they can try and right their wrongs now as round 3 is on the docket. And we're going to have Mira along for the ride for the very first time.
So Mira will finally be swapped into the loadout here. Didn't really see it get used by either team on our previous map, when she was allowed into play, but Achieved really going to have some plans to make use of her here. So we'll see her finally brought out for the defense on TSM as they go for their tertiary site defense downstairs here in kitchen, before potentially either going back at the rotation again or maybe even calling a pause here. Potentially if XSET is able to take control of a second round for themselves. TSM, though, still with a lot of upstairs presence in this, mainly spurred because of the fact that we have the mirror windows in play from Achieved, and Achieved himself looks like he's going to be sitting up behind one of those, just on the outskirts of the master bedroom here to stop some of the initial clear pressure from XSET and hopefully delay them to a serious extent here.
Well, fortunately enough, they got plenty of time, but how much life do they have, John? That's the real question. A bullet meets the dome of Spirits, and he'll go down. And unfortunately, Spirits' favorite operator to play with XSET, well, it happens to be Finka. And now that's gone too. TSM can now rest and see what the next decision will be from XSET. Already gotten one of the biggest game animals on XSET taken down, so don't have to worry too much more about it. Just have to make sure that all of the entry points to this defensive site are shut down. That way XSET can't try and find an easy way into the site. Working their way back and forth to try and find a drone there, but not able to find it too easily. Gomez will be able to at least propel himself forward into bathroom. On to drone, but knows one's around the astronomy stairs space. Has a nitro, but Gio's going to back off as Chala's actually going to get taken out by Kano. Actually, him running the OSA at the current moment, so that could actually assist them with getting this plant down later on.
This does mean that the position upstairs will be slightly more exposed, so they'll have to watch out for that, specifically as Bolo here tries to continue to maintain that presence and ensure that Achieved also can keep himself alive. Problem is, Achieved is no longer going to be supported from Astro. The good news, though, they don't expect Bolo to come out swinging like that. He negotiates the initial trade inside of Astro, picks one up. Yeah, Kino's now got site control by picking up his own kill, but they've lost the case, so this means nothing to the overall scope of the round at the moment.
Kino does have some smokes to be able to try and play this out against Gio. Nitro Saw is going to catch him. Oh, it will! Kino, ill-advised, walks back into laundry and is blown sky high. Yaga will get one and is down to the clutch from Bolo, and he makes it look too dang easy for TSM. The Thorn gameplay, well, it pays off. As TSM FTX will take another round.
Bolo with the heads-up play, they're not wanting to extend that 1v1 into a super overtly tense scenario. He just goes right for the frag, and it works out beautifully for him there. On top of the other aggression we saw from him, yeah, didn't end up saving Achieve's life out of that scenario, which was the main point of his hold on the inside of Trophy, but still got the job done at the end of the day. That's probably what the team cares about the most here. It's TSM back in control of things at a 2-1 scoreline, and they're going back at their rotation again now as they return for the first time to AVG.
Port Spirit's getting picked off early in that round, and that really could have been the big game changer for them as they go into that mid-game with more bodies up. Spirit's here with that LMG as well as the ability to heal up a lot of his comrades, and they can more than likely play into the last portion of that round in a completely different way. They kind of have to try and throw themselves at the site, and it works out in a certain sense, but I mean, obviously with Bolo shooting like that, you're always going to run into a wall eventually, and it looked like TSM ended up winning that, but I can't exactly remember what the question was.
So that was the problem, was our social media person, I think, tricked the audience and gave them a question of who is not going to win today's match. TSM fans doing what they do, I think they was hoping that they would all blindly vote for TSM. And they kind of did. So TSM fans, potentially some XSET fans too, voted for TSM to not win this match.
Oh, a bunch of bronze.
So if they
users.
lose, it's your fault, basically, is what we're saying.
Yeah, honestly, I like that. I like having...
You can finally put the accountability on the audience instead of us.
If there's any situation where I can have zero accountability, that's the kind of situation that I want personally. Just makes things so much easier for your psyche, you know? But past that, back into the game, Chala, I mean, he's practically on his deathbed at the current moment. Hasn't even gotten to use a smoke just yet, and don't really know how this exactly happened. I do believe it was a frag grenade from Yogg, but hard to say at the current moment. Speaking of Yogg, he's gotten some control downstairs inside of Piano and has broken up quite a few of these walls. He's going to use his last frag grenade to try and hold on to Red as he backs up, and won't pass backing up. Merc's going to try and push himself forward. He'll be able to get a drone and work his way back towards the top of Red, but XSET hasn't given up enough of this story just yet. TSM still trying to soul search and see where XSET has placed themselves across this map.
Kino included in that tally there as he sits on the outside of the aviation windows here. No clean capability for him to get through, but Gomez has found some access to the site, unfortunately it's not in the cleanest fashion, as ended up having to step on a goo mine on the way in. Thankfully, I don't think anyone from TSM is in the neighborhoods. They wouldn't have been able to gather a whole lot from that there. The drone helping out to allow for a quick takeout of any additional goo mines, but it's also removing the obscurity, of course, of the Nook push, as firing out those shots is going to take away from the obscurity of the push itself and probably ruin any opening frags this team would have liked to get against TSM's setup here.
Yes, indeed. I mean, you can see XSET, they've been slowly working their way towards site, but TSM, just because of their utility usage, they've delayed so much time. They'll be able to at least get a kill for this. Gomez taking a very small portion of damage. Honestly expected a little bit more out of Achieved right there, but Merc is good for us. He'll take down Gomez. Yaga will refrag onto Gio. also claim his life coming up red stairs. Fortunately enough for TSM's sake, they still have so much utility to try and box out XSET when it comes to this door. They'll take down Bolo, and Merc's starting to take some heat of his own. Doesn't really know where he wants to go with this just yet. He has to try and help Chala stay alive here as the smokes will continue to go out onto the vault door. Try and hold them back on Skull. They've wrapped themselves around here. Spirits is going to try and find the body in behind the bar, and he'll do just that, but Merc will take him down instead. It's a 1 versus 3. They know where Merc is. The pre-fire's coming through, has no ability to try and stop this, so he has to try and take the fights instead, and XSET will take the round because of it. So many early picks going their way and able to translate that into quite the take when it came to the overall site control.
Yeah, very similarly to the other lost round from TSM, XSET are able to win out those very pivotal opening gun duels in their favor, largely spurred by TSM's own aggression. So they set themselves up to a certain extent to go down there inside of the late round by putting XSET into a position where they can easily close out on the site defense with what I believe there was a 4v3, eventually turning down to a 4 versus 2 against the TSM setup. So that's the second one going up on the board for XSET on a different site as well here. So a little bit of lack of consistency of control for TSM. They're going to try and get this back for themselves over here inside of Trophy. But this as well, if I remember correctly, it was taken by XSET the first time it was played out. So TSM had some improvements to make on their own formula here.
Now, I will say I really like the setup from TSM there. I just wish they would have done more with main stairs and study as an overall unit instead of trying to throw things more towards like the central hall and Skull and get these flanks off and stuff like that, because XSET wasted so much time trying to get to a point where they could actually just hit the site. If most of the force from TSM is around the site area, there's a very good chance that they end up taking that round, but obviously nitpicking at the end of the day isn't going to do too much, and their overall focus, well, it's on round 5, as so is ours. TSM going to be setting things up on this top floor, holding things around Trophy and Statuary. Obviously have some presence around the kitchen area, trying to hopefully slow down XSET's onslaught when it comes to this floor. They want to try and get in and get some frag grenades around the area, or hopefully take down some of the roam game from TSM. But Chief's going to be back in this very similar area that we saw him get tagged up in last time, but he wants to try and play this out aggressively. He's going to pre-rip the nitro cell, waiting someone to open up this far window, and this could be the kill for him quite easily, but you can see Spirits also looking for him via this hatch down low. Now he's going to break the door open, and obviously this is going to be an audio cue for him, so this could really go either way. It's a coin flip on if Achieved even tries to peek this hatch. Nitro cell back out. Really no answer for this from both sides just yet. Back and forth they go. A drone in here. I do believe a Rotero drone, yes indeed, from DS. So be able to get rid of that deployable shield and force the Chiefs back into concrete.
Chiefs still waiting for play capability to come out from this position on the outside of Master. Not going to find it anytime soon. Now Rotero drone will spur him back a little bit. Deals with the Thorn Trap set up just a little bit next to him. But obviously he's not going to take out the laser gate, as there's no way to fully remove those. Diaz will continue to move forward with these Rotero drones, though, looking for any potential targets, but at least as far as this one is concerned, not going to find anything. Just wanted to get a little bit more drone out of that one. Looks like they pretty much completed the task and are going to be getting the confidence needed to move in a moment. Not only that, but the nade is striking true. It's going to be able to take out the defensive setup here from Achieved. Bolo, though, from across the way, once again snipes out one of the players attempting to entry. That'll be Gomez ending up going down, and still an even 4v4 setup between both teams now.
It's a huge issue for TSM as they lose the main wall, but hopefully they can try and play it around the two side spaces here on this top floor. The big portion of this being Chala's heavy lifting that he'll try and do in Astronomy. Have to worry about Merc's position as well, as this is usually the first thing that's cleared as soon as they swing concrete. You have to worry about that far angle as well. You can see Spirits flicking back and forth as he continues to try and eye bench as well. Frag grenades in. This timer continues to dwindle, and they'll be able to at least reset the laser gate, which is going to delay even longer for TSM and allow them to reclaim their forces. An adrenal surge now will try and assist in the health department and hopefully help out XSET when it comes to their frags. Merc will go underneath at the nitro cell, and a kill for him as he'll knock down the case holder. Yaga's going to lose some HP, and they have to try and work their way in, but Bolo, rather Geo, with a huge prone. It's all down to DS, who's inside of Master, working making his way through the breach, and he's dead as rights to Bolo as he'll take him down. TSM looking very strong inside of that one as they give up the site just enough with the response already preloaded. As Merc drops down, they continue to hold on to bench with Geo. It's just very well done. Well, exactly what you would expect out of a lineup that just recently lifted a hammer.
TSM put some ice on the early round aggression as well, and were able to save the large majority of their player count as a direct result of that, and do exactly what Stokes had mentioned, kind of set up a trap for the XSET members to lure themselves into, and they do exactly that. Take that master control, try to execute directly into Statuary, but that's exactly what TSM wanted to have happen because they had all the retake angles preset specifically for that.
I think the big problem there for XSET is if you're planning in that situation and there's that many people alive for TSM, why don't you have a body downstairs? Why don't you have any information on what's going on in that area? It's the most default as default gets for a plant inside of Statuary, and obviously TSM are going to know how to try and mitigate that. And really the only reason that TSM backed off and were willing to give that up to XSET is because they knew that that positioning downstairs was up for grabs, and it worked out extremely well. XSET overplays their hand, they now have case control down in Statuary, and now the rest of them have to try and play out of Master and get even more frags so they can pick up this case again that's now in the defensive hand. So just makes things super, super difficult for them overall, and XSET with another banger of a round.
XSET now looking to try and tie things up with this final round on the attacking side as well. If not, it'll be a slight advantage over to TSM coming off of it, the same that we saw from PB back on the previous half here. A little bit of a slip up from Yog, but quickly correctable as he has to go down and pick up just a new drone for himself. Spirits will get the opening kill this time around, being able to find out Bolo, probably catching a mid-roam, and indeed I think that's the case as we see his phone down there just outside of the trophy connector. Gio's going to get spotted, of course, by this phone call now going out to not only him, but the rest of his teammates also, so he'll have to cool off his own aggression just for a moment to be able to deal with this first.
XSET are concerned with the entire map at the current moment, and honestly they should be, as there's body after body around this entire area. Mark's going to be able to drop off and avoid certain death from that LMG. A Nitro Cell will go wide on the top floor, and actually on a second notice, it's Spirits to go down via that Nitro Cell. So actually he'll be picked back up from the Adrenal Surges and have a little bit of extra HP to play around, but obviously not going to be exactly the greatest of situations for XSET past the two big kills that they've gotten onto TSM, but they still have to work their way towards this site. Shouldn't be the biggest issue though, is they still have the sledge up and fully healthy. Yaga should be able to break up a lot of this flooring, making it extremely complicated for TSM to try and pick up this one.
Moving back in, just trying to deny as much drone intel as possible. This is going to be huge for XSET's confidence to be able to swing in and take out the 3 remaining players on TSM. Thorn's guy's going to go off, but so does the Nitro Cell from Chala, bringing these numbers back down to a more palatable point for TSM as they finally manage to knock out one of these attackers here. Less than a minute remaining. We've got a big play being built up here by Geo right now, but is it preset? Is XSET going to be able to find a counter to this almost instantaneously? Does TSM now as well have the defensive setup to be able to counter out the play downstairs? Well, we got the answer to the first question, and the second one is right around the corner. All falling to Chala now in a 1vx, and he cannot maintain as Pantry gets pushed. XSET tie us up at 3-3 at halftime as they take one more round at the end of it.
Very well done from XSET. Cool, calm, and collected, and aware of the potential flank coming through from TSM. We've been seeing a lot of aggressive plays when it comes to the last minute here on Villa today, so a good read from XSET overall. Didn't exactly have any info on that, but just having DS in place there was all they needed in order to open up the remainder of that round and give them a chance to work their way into sight and play out the trade game in the dying moments. And that's going to bring us to this 3-3 scoreline. Both of these teams getting their blows in, but definitely not a team that you would exactly give the advantage to at the current moment. We're definitely going to have to see how both of these teams now do on their respective sides.
Pretty evenly held by both teams in the first half, but as we just saw in our first matchup, the second half can yield fairly drastic changes to either team's performance. Let's take a peek at this first round and see if we're going to still be keeping things at relatively even keel, or if one team is truly going to try and push themselves ahead to a different different factor now that they've either been activated or reignited, jumping on the defensive or attacking side. Here comes TSM as they do go for a few small changes to their lineup, initially showing the Monty for Achieve. That'll get swapped out to the more expected pick now of a Sledge. And away from that as well, I believe everything is going to remain what was originally picked, so let's see how they commit to this clear now as XSET obviously going to be setting up to stop, but especially over here at the top of main stairs, we have 3 ADSs and the usual deployable shield to support these potential 1, if not 2 players that are going to set up to stop any momentum from TSM.
My Siege brain's finally waking up. We're starting to link together the equations and everything, John. We got the Mav working in, the one that was banned previously on Villa. This is fantastic for 90, as you're allowed to just get the wall open whenever you want to. Yes, Abana can get it from the 90 window, but have you ever thought of a torch that could go through a wall with literally anything attached to it, unimpeded? You can just torch through it and have a new line of sight. So definitely something that TSM will look to abuse later on if they so choose. Yaga, he was considering it for literally a split second, and then everything else kicked in from his training, and he was like, no, this is a terrible idea. We're not doing this. That was a beautiful Nitro Cell lineup, but not going to be able to claim any TSM member just yet. They are hotly contesting this 90 window, but where's the remaining members of TSM? A little bit of an update. They're actually all the way over on the northern end, and Bolo's worked his way across pretty easily so far, as he's already inside of Bor.
About half the round been played out so far here. Relatively inactive from both sides. Kino's going to change up position from the bottom of main stairs, though, having seen what's being built up and noticing that it's primarily coming from the statuary side rather than from that front entrance to directly contest from Study. To be correct in that read, as that's exactly what we've got being built up here from TSM on their first 2 minutes of clear.
Nitro Cell pre-ripped for Gomez. Potentially has member awaiting him inside of 90. You can just see how they're trying to position themselves. Every single member on both of these teams trying to find a gap in the other's game plan. And Nitro Cell's going to go wide, but you can see it's a game of inches at the current moment. Pre-fires and everything else in between, but it's finally going to land onto Spirits. He just cannot get away from these opening deaths in the last couple of play days, and it's going to actually happen to him here again in round 7. So XSET will start off on the wrong foot, but can they right the ship? M590 up close and personal. He's going to back off as a frag grenade gets preloaded. Stun out as well, and it's Diaz actually to fire back into Achieved. Still plenty of time though. So they've been backed off from the smoke game. These X-Kairos pellets won't allow XSET to rotate out into 90, and that really could have been the play there. It could have been the death nail for round 7, but obviously not the case. I do believe that's the last smoke coming in from Kino, and it will be. TSM, he had the lead at first, but XM at least been able to reconcile. Big shotgun here, not able to claim him the first time around, but will on the second as Merc goes down. M590 for 2 and SMG11 to clean it up. It's all down to Geo, and he's got 0 time and 0 chance, really, to be able to clean things up. Almost the chance for 2 there, but obviously no case and no time to even make it to the site if he wanted to.
Fortunately, not enough courage to be able to challenge the shotgun setup sitting over by the death door position. And this is despite the fact they had full access potentially to the inside of Gun Vault 2 to give the intel about whether that player was going to actually be there or not. TSM just failing to get together an actual execute setup once they had popped things open and be able to negotiate even an opening frag for themselves. And this combined with the fact they only had the one-dimensional pressure coming from the trophy side of the map, they just didn't really have what was necessary to clear out that defensive setup, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, you know, honestly, I really think that they did have what it took to clean out the defensive setup. I think they did it in the wrong way. Yeah. And what I mean by that is that they could have really abused the verticality there. XSET have so many people alive that you can practically run downstairs and go, okay, where's the default spot that someone's going to sit? Frag grenade, kill. Okay, where's the default spot that somebody's going to sit? Frag grenade, kill. That's just, it's really weird that we didn't see TSM consider that when they had full control of that top end area and still had some time to drone things out and figure out what was going on around Piano and Library. But, you know, beggars can't be choosers. TSM, they got their opening kill and they thought that they could strong arm it into the site, but obviously that was not the case, as XSET shut down every single door, including the new one that they made in Gun Vault.
And they're getting a full roster swap from TSM during attacker repick here. So Ace, Nomad, Nook, as well as a Montaigne, and then the Yana will end up being swapped in. Not a crazy scary lineup in terms of trying to throw a curveball at XSET here. There's a lot of operators that, we would generally expect to see, but that's a surprise from Yaga right there. Just doming Chala out of the round here, removing the only hard breach that the attackers have access to now.
You gotta win those. Don't know what else to say there, Chala, my poor boy. It's going to feel really, really bad for TSM in this instance. They're going to immediately try and refrag as Spirits was sitting over the top of the hatch, and they had a decent read on that. But past that, this is definitely looking like an XSET round already, as they have no opportunity to open up a single new hole for themselves. They're going to have to try and work their way through the entire clown house that XSET has set up on this top floor, including some soft angles, even towards the top of Bookshelf. They're trying to slow down TSM in the worst of ways. But you can see Bolo, he's trying to wrap his way around through the other end. Some shots coming through behind Yaga. Bolo has gotten the space, and he's aware that Yaga's more than likely going to swing through, and he's correct, as he'll take him down and at least be able to equalize here before the halfway mark.
Good management of the situation there from Bolo. At least opens up an opportunity now for TSM to get themselves back into it. But as Stokes mentioned, still missing the hard breach is going to become a problem as they encroach upon the site's areas. XSET more than ready for that challenge. DS, in fact, relishing it to an extent here, as you could see him taking the challenge from the top of the Astro desk, unfortunately with no reply to come in from TSM. So he'll have to change his position. Will try to contest from the inside of Trophy instead. A much safer spot to try and play this out. For XSET getting a little bit uneasy, as they're still waiting to see what the next move is going to be from TSM, and they haven't really gotten anything as of yet. They're going to continue to try and peek out here and there, see if they can maybe get lucky with a potential timing play to take out another member of this assaulting squad.
Bulletproof camera to worry about. Preloaded frag grenade from Bolo, aimed at the barbed wire and cleans that up, so they'll be able to get into Trophy if they so choose. But they have to worry about the onslaught of XSET members here awaiting them. Gomez will be able to take down Bolo, and that's going to make things worse for wear at the current moment. Frag grenade in, and she'll be able to take down Kino and trade things out at a minimum. Nitro Cell to take down Chi, but Gio's still planting. And where is this plant going down? I don't think that they exactly know. Smoke out here, able to tag up Diaz, and really big kill here that was needed, but now it's just down to the Monty, and wow, there's no way Gio just got this. Oh my! What? Gio! Diaz, you can't do that! It's a Monty! You can't pick him up right next to him!
Gio just 1v3 clutched with a Monty. What in the world? I have never seen anything to that caliber of play in about 4 years now of casting Siege. Look, even TSM can't believe it. They've got their faces on their palms. What an insane turn of events for Gionidas as he brings a round for TSM out of absolutely nowhere.
Thin air here. Look at this. Look at how close Gomez is to hitting him in the head, and yet Gio is still
They went for the res. They went for the res.
I cannot believe that. I straight up
Why did they go for the res?
I feel like what happened there was that Diaz thought that if he was able to fake out the res onto Spirits, that he would get Gio's shield to slide, and he had the potential to melee him and then get that nice interaction where you kill the Monty while his shield's wide, right? Well, what he didn't expect is for Gio to know that he wanted that res when he walked up to the body, and as soon as he goes to start, the shield already slides. And it's like, well, I'm now stuck in the beginning of this animation. I'm going to get punched in my face. And yeah, sometimes it just breaks down that way. Not very often, but definitely sometimes. A play that TSM is definitely going to look back on fondly in a couple of years. I mean, Bolo absolutely flabbergasted when we went to the cameras. As you said, just head in hands and just fully belly laughing. Like, no other way to look at that. So amazing stuff here. And honestly, kind of the riskier stuff and just kind of the overall weird things that we thought were going to happen in between these two. These are two teams that whenever they clash, you can always expect some weird instances to go on. So
Either way, TSM will certainly be happy about being able to get away with that play there. Beautifully done once more by Gio to allow it to happen in the first place. The scoreline, of course, being equalized at 4-4 gives a great opportunity for TSM to take back control over this matchup. We'll have to do so against a now downstairs setup from XSET, with the usual extension coming in up here from Gomez and a few of the other members of this team as they try to hold the Astro as well as the statuary rooms for as long as possible, as there'll be a direct portal for top-down angles on TSM to be used against the site take.
TSM taking their time with the drone game initially, and they really should, as Gomez is on the receiving end, the top frag right now across the board, and he's going to continue to deliver. Achieved will go down, XSET with the opener, but that doesn't mean that TSM can't fight back. We've seen them do it once before here against this XSET roster. Able to get rid of a drone, and Spears will add a goo mine just for good measure to that area. So he'll drop all the way down to the basement, really complicating things for TSM as he attempts to test the info game. Gonna open up the single panel here for Kitchen as TSM now looks towards the sky to try and begin breaking up a lot of the flooring on the top floor and to see if they can try and find any XSET member that doesn't exactly know where these angles are going to be coming from.
On a play at the moment, but as we just saw in the last round, that's not necessarily going to stop TSM from looking for a W here. It's working their way down. In this instance, more so to deal with utility than anything else, but I'm hoping maybe that they might have been able to grab a bit of damage off of that. It's not going to end up coming true here. XSET kind of sitting in the wings, waiting for their opportunity to play this out properly, which would involve the descent from TSM there. They want to challenge them at the execute. It'll be a little dangerous given what happened on the previous round, but thankfully no shielded operator to worry about this time on the XSET camp. They're just going to have to deal with 5 normal operators they've already been able to knock out. Achieved, of course, only 4 remain, and they don't want to overplay their hand. They don't want to over-aggress when it's not really necessary, so they're continuing to hold pretty passively here. Now with only 20 seconds left, and with them realizing that TSM is going to start to make mistakes like this in the intel game, that's when they're going to jump out to strike. But still, opening kill goes the way of TSM. Case has been immediately dropped by Spirits, though, on a flank. And that's more than likely the end of the execute. They're going to have to frag their way through this here. 10 seconds now remaining on the clock. Diaz taking down 2. Merc to trade out 1 more, but he's got 2 more targets to find and no time left on the clock. So this round's going to XSET.
Yes, indeed. XSET with the game-changing plays that time around, especially for their top floor, dropping off after the initial pick and pushing themselves into different portions of the map that TSM are going to be forced to try and clear later on. But obviously, they didn't have the capability to do that, especially on the basement floor in which they hinged their entire strategy upon, John. Everybody is standing on pantry stairs with a claymore watching in case, and nobody droned the basement. Not a single person. You just sat in a corner and waited and waited and waited, and TSM showed us. So actually, we had our episode last week and our new one this week, obviously. But thankfully enough, it's a very short episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. It was fantastic. We'll catch you next week as we have our game ready once again here. And just to remind you guys, this has been the teeter-totter of all teeter-totters here today. XSET and TSM going back and forth time and time again, except for XSET. These last 2 rounds have been able to link some things together. They found their spice of life, and now TSM has to try and come in and take it from them. What's the adjustment going to be? Well, we saw TSM flirting with some glass picks earlier on, but obviously TSM really likes to mess around with this op when it comes to their offensive drafts, and they're going to do it yet again with the Nomad coming back in on Gio.
Gio had like a Blackbeard soft picked earlier too, so like,
might as well, you know? like to be honest, I'm surprised that every lineup isn't the most troll pick things for every team, and then at the last second they're like, all right, this is what we're playing. Like, I'm really surprised.
It's not like we're limiting their ability to repick or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I could repick Monty 17 times in one prep phase. You can't stop me.
All right, well, let's get into this round now. As we've got TSM spawned out, they did struggle to take control of this site the last time it was played out by XSET, so they're probably feeling pretty good about their odds to try and surge forward with the lead for yet another occurrence and be able to put themselves up onto map point with not just 1 opportunity to close out, but 2 as well. So if things do go a little bit more awry in their initial attempt to take control, maybe fall back, rely on a site being unlocked and use that to take things 7-5 here if they want the full 3-point spread from this game. Should it go to overtime? For those who don't know, obviously we're going to split the points 2-1 at that point, and the winner in OT will be taking the 2. The loser will take the 1 for at least getting the game to go that far.
Yes, indeed. TSM drone game warming up now for them as XSET set them back towards site a little bit stronger this time. Don't want to play as forward for TSM to be able to pick up any bodies, and this is making it toward TSM is taking their sweet time with this clear, making sure that XSET isn't playing around things like red or 90 or potentially bookshelf, but I do believe that they have somebody at the top of main. They most definitely got somebody inside of piano this time, where we could see them try and play around the plant here for default around the vault door. So all the rest of the drones coming in for TSM. XSET will continue to do the dance. Back and forth they go. Get rid of some of this drone game and try and hold on to what TSM's game plan is as they coil around the site.
All quiet across the map right now, and neither team wants to be the first to make a mistake in this scenario, but that's going to play into the favor of XSET. TSM need to find a way to build up the confidence necessary to swing into this site. That was the problem on the last attempt as well. They had seemingly all of the breaches and all of the angles that they would have needed open, but just didn't really have the confidence to play in against the player inside of Gun Vault using a shotgun there. Gomez is going to be able to strike first this time for XSET as he lines up the opener with the Nitro against Merc as well, removing the Finka from play and the grenades that would have been with her. Gomez now gets a second frag against Achieve. The Sledge now down for the count as well. All the frags have been taken out. This is probably the worst turn of events that TSM could have asked for in terms of utility losses. Now they're stunted, getting taken out by a toxic babe as Geo tries to go for the plant. It's all falling to pieces right now for TSM, and it continues to just get worse. Diaz with one more. Chala never even got himself into the building. It's a flawless round from XSET, and they're only one more away from closing it down.
Ooh, well, do I break it now? Do I break the news now, or do I wait for the next round?
You can do it now.
Yeah, I think we all lose this one, everybody. I think we all need to go home. We need to take our pick rates with us. Just pack it in for the day.
Got that W on the last game. It's all good. Unfortunately, that's the only one we're getting today, I think.
And you know what my favorite part about this is, though? We get to blame Twitter. That's
true.
Part.
We get to blame the audience.
It is all your fault, Twitter, and everyone sitting at home right now. How dare you not read that social media post before making your decision and immediately defaulting to voting for TSM? Tis.
There it is.
Who's not going to win today's match? TSM. Well, you know, guys.
If just 3% of you read the question.
You can at least have a 50-50 split. You can at least split even.
You could have saved TSM's life,
but you didn't.
But you chose chaos. Okay. All right, we're getting a little too far with this. Let's get back into the game as TSM is truly struggling at the moment with their executes, trying to get themselves into the building. It is on a few select sites, so I wouldn't say they're down for the count just yet here. There's a possibility they might be able to springboard back into this, but XSET knows the game that they're playing into here. They're going to fall back on another site where they've had traditionally success on as well to try and stop TSM from running their own comeback up to 6 rounds and triggering OT.
Yes, indeed. Now, TSM out and about for potentially the last time as they have been undermined via social media. They have to do, get through XSET twice here in order just to trigger overtime. And it all starts now. They're going to work upstairs trying to grasp a hold of Master and allow Achieve to work a lot of this flooring. Bolo would do fantastic up here as well, not only with the breaching charges, but obviously IQ's utility. Very strong when it comes to verticality, as you can get rid of a lot of the electronics inside of the site. And well, speaking about the site, this isn't exactly that, but Gomez is at least protecting the top floor of it, trying to make sure they can't rip this thing open like a can. Spirits will hold on to the far window as of right now, and TSM, they're going to go back to a very similar playstyle to what we've been seeing up until this moment, where we see Merc to start get aggressive inside of Master. Frag grenade out towards Concrete, but most of the damage going towards XSET via gunfire, especially after Merc can take down Gomez.
Confident opening kill for TSM. A big change of pace from what we've been seeing in the previous few rounds as well. Now they need to follow it through here, and they might very well be able to easily do so as they track down at least Spirits. He goes running with his tail tucked between his legs after being spotted out there inside of the trophy connector. He'll try to fall back though and will make it out alive back over towards the main stairs, so should have no problem rotating into a more playable position to wait out the rest of this round.
All patience for both of these teams. Set, looking to equalize here. Yaga with quite the cheeky angle under the 90 window with quite a bit of potential as long as he's able to hold on to the area down low. don't know if TSM's going to even begin working that way, though, as they do have a lot of control over the top of the site. A pre-placed Nitro cell that Bolo's been able to mark out, but another one's going to be able to claim quite a bit of HP off of Merc. Sells 2 Adrenal Surges that he should have up in time before the execute. We'll see if he tries to use those now or if he wants to try and save those for his teammates. Achieve will continue to sledge things up, and he's found himself a target, but luckily enough for DS, he has some time, and he'll be able to skimper off before any damage is dealt.
Still, though, a lot of presence being forced off of the site or onto an exterior angle by these TSM top-downs, so the job is being done by Achieved as he's able to force the pressure to the outside. The problem, though, is that it's forced it right into the face of the TSM execute. Kino goes for 2, drops the case in the process, and now makes this a heck of a lot more winnable for XSET. Yoga now finding the 3rd frag against TSM's execute here. Merc goes down. Geo and Achieve must somehow bring this back from the brinks, otherwise it'll be a 7-4 victory for XSET, and it's looking like it'll be the latter of that outcome there. XSET shut it down and take control of this matchup today versus TSM.
Well, GG, there it was. We didn't even have to wait an extra round. XSET are able to get it done even though the leadoff pick goes to TSM. They play it out very, very swimmingly. I especially love the I love the pickup